Thoughts on the new Twitch rules? Are there new Twitch rules? Apparently VTuber hips are TOS. Good. Can I be honest? Good. It's one of those things that, like, it's so hard to regulate. How do you write a rule about how much hip you can and cannot show, right? And they had a rule, but it was like poorly written. It's one of those things, like, all I care about is I want them to be consistent. And when they write a rule that's really hard to follow, then you just open VTubers up to problems when they get their outfits, right? They're not new rules. They've been to us for a while now. Twitch just had examples to clarify. Oh, okay. So it's not, oh, so it's the stuff that I always said. Remember when we talked about this last time and I was like, I actually think the rules make sense and they're good. Just people skirt the line. They don't go through and enforce it. Well, now this clarification means, you know, so that's good. Attire. When evaluating reports for sexual conduct, attire is just one factor we will use in making a determination on whether conduct is acceptable. I mean, that's true. Sexual conduct is not just about what you're wearing. It's about everything that you're doing as well, and the suggestiveness and, you know, what's the point of what you're doing, basically, right? Which is a little subjective. It's kind of hard. Genitalia, buttocks, hips, female-presented nipples, and underbusts must be covered at all times on general streams. These guidelines apply to VTuber models, but not video game characters, including those uploaded into games such as VRChat. Ooh, okay. So it applying to VTuber models. This is literally the same as the rule before. So nothing changed. Hips. So here's the rule with hips. Here's what it's always been. Let me clarify. The rule is the same as it was before. You cannot have fully exposed hips with no cloth anywhere on the hip. So a portion of the hip can show, but there has to be some sort of singular ring of fabric that goes all the way around in a ring, all the way around somewhere on the hip area. So if you're wearing underwear, right, and like a lot of your hip or thighs sticking out, but up at the top, there's that band, that elastic band going all the way around the top, that counts because that is a circle going around you, covering a portion of your hip. But if you wore a sling bikini that ties around your neck and goes straight down your front to your crotch and does not cover your side at all, that's not allowed, obviously, because that is crazy. So that's what the rule always was. And now they're just reiterating that, basically. But then they said not video game characters, which makes sense because you can't really control that. But then they're including those uploaded into games such as VRChat. VRChat folks are doing what VTubers do, and I feel like that guideline should be the same. I don't think you should be able to go into VRChat with a wildly more sexual model and do the same thing that you would do if you were just chatting with a 2D model and have different guidelines on your outfit, or 3D, right? Because then I couldn't do that with my 3D model if I'm just chatting, but the moment I go into VRChat, I could. That's the part where I'm like, I think they should change that. If you're going to disallow one, disallow the other, right? But basically what's going to happen is, which kind of has already happened, the people that want to do more sexualized content of their character, they're just going to go into VRChat and like dance around straight up, which personally, I don't think is a bad thing. I think that content's fine. I have no personal problem with it, but I don't think they should like differently enforce that. I feel like it should be the same across the board. Allow both or allow neither. You know what I mean? I like the note. They said hip coverage is often forgotten in this rule. Please be sure that your VTuber model covers this area. Yeah, because a lot of people have these outfits that are like leotards, and the part that goes around you, it doesn't start like until your waist. Like the whole hip is exposed. Even mine has a little bit of it, but like I specifically made sure that those lines were drawn a little lower, you know, like so that only some shows, but a lot of it is still covered because I feel like I didn't want to skirt that line. I didn't want to do it. But a lot of people get an outfit where they look like Cammy, you know, and they'll have like they'll have like the sides so high up. If we cannot functionally tell whether or not you are clothed, you're implying you're not. Yeah, this one makes sense. Zen's 2.0 without the shorts will be flagged? I think so. Yeah, because she's wearing a leotard underneath, but it shows so much. It shows the whole hip, I think, right? I don't know. I don't remember. I'd have to look. Yeah, we can go over this too. They have a new enforcement note on sexual content. Let's see what they got. Let's see what they say. Direct links to websites that primarily provide sexual content are not allowed in your content. Meaning overlay, bio, scented chat, etc. out of nowhere. Ooh, if any links to this kind of content through methods like link aggregators are found, Twitch may apply the sexual themes content classification label for a set amount of time. I think that's good. I think you should be able to advertise those things a little bit hidden, but then label your content. There are a lot of content creators that do some sort of sexual content, and I personally don't think, again, I don't think it's a problem. I'm very pro, like you should be able to do that if you want. I understand if they don't want a direct link in because then it's hard for advertisers. That's like, I get that. I don't think that's on them. They can't really control that. But at the same time, I don't think it should be 100% shut down. It should be able to like, I don't know. Positioning your camera to highlight intimate body areas is not allowed. Prohibited example, stretching your legs apart in view of the camera for extended periods of time. Thank you, because something that I keep seeing is like softcore content that is clearly softcore content, right? It'll be someone like being like, ooh, yoga stream, but then all of the poses are not really yoga poses. It's all just stretches that are basically meant to be just softcore, right? And I'm like, we gotta not be doing this. Like if they don't allow that kind of content, right? But at the same time, I don't think that kind of content is bad. It's just like, it has to be, we have to be consistent, I feel, you know? So that's a good clarification. Ooh, if your channel's reported multiple times in a short period of time for sexual content or any other policy violation, this will not result in your channel being suspended if you did nothing wrong. All of our sexual content enforcements are manually reviewed and issued. Ooh, okay, that's good. That's a really good clarification, because people were getting like just spammed with people reporting them for sexual content, like women especially. That makes it worse though, doesn't it? What with the targeting VTubers accusations? No, that makes it better. They're saying that if someone is targeting your channel like that, or you're getting like report bombed, there's no automatic suspension. It just means that every time, if there are a lot of reports, they're going to manually review it. Because my thought was, I wasn't sure what was going on, but I was like, I think maybe some of the issue that VTubers are having is people bombing their channels. It's like a little bit of Twitch not handling the stuff right and not being, you know, even-handed in how they apply punishments. But then also, it's in, you know, people just hating VTubers and just doing shit like that. Like, part of me was like thinking that that might have been it, but no confirmation, obviously. I just feel like that might have been a thing, especially with the particular people that were getting the reports too. I'm like, okay. Users can't engage in simulated sexual activity or erotic role play with other players in online games. There are a lot of small streamers that do that. Like, I was like scrolling through the GTA category a long time ago, and I was checking up on some smaller streamers on some other servers, like the ones that I don't play on, right? And I was like, I wonder what they do. And there were people like fully like sexual role play, you know. I was like, what is happening here? And they're emoting at each other. I was like, this why are they doing this? So I'm glad that they clarified that. New enforcement note on youth safety. Ooh, depicting fictional anime characters of a childlike appearance with any kind of sexual framing is not allowed. This applies to VTubers and within games like VR chat, even if the broadcaster or the operator is above the age of 18. Okay. That's one of those things that's like subjective, but I feel like they needed to say it, because if they were going to do that and not explicitly state it, you know, it's one of those things, like they had to be clear about it. So it's good that they're being more clear, and they're just saying this is our, you know, our guideline on this. The line needs to be clear. Yeah, on things like this one with like fictional characters, I don't know. There's always a lot of discourse about that. But at the end of the day, I think what matters for this platform, regardless of anyone's like personal thoughts on it, I don't really care what your personal thoughts are, but like from the platform's perspective, if there's an avatar that appears childlike, sounds childlike, depending on your voice or whatever, and then you're doing something that also seems like it might be a little bit sexually framed, someone on the outside who's like a broadcaster is just going to think that that is what that is. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to look at it and be like, well, I think it's okay because blah, 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 right? They're going to be people who probably haven't watched much anime. They're going to be older dudes, and they're going to be like, oh my God. And they're just going to think it's like the worst possible thing you can think of that, right? So I understand the platform is like, that's got to be a no, right? Yeah, it's one of those things where I always say like err on the side of caution. Same thing with outfits. Probably err on the side of caution here too, right? The issue might be their definition of childlike. Remember Australia classifying petite women as childlike. Yeah, that's the thing, is so like a lot of people personally have issues with that. Myself as well. Yeah, no, like I'm short and I don't look my age. I'm just like that. And I've complained about this before, like having people just assume I'm a lot younger than I am. But yet I am still a woman, and I'm still allowed to be treated like a woman, and someone's allowed to like me. That does not make them someone who likes children because they like a short woman who happens to not look old, right? There's a lot of like nuance there, but a lot of women who are short and not minors, you know, adult women have that issue where if they do look a little young, some people will like make fun of people that like have any level of attraction to them and be like, oh, so that's what you like, you know what I mean? And they start to make it like a weird thing. And it's not, because if you sit there and look for like 5 seconds, you could be like, that's not a child. Like looking a bit youthful and looking like a child are very different, but you get treated that way. People get very weird with that for sure. And you know, the shorter you are, the worse it is. If you don't have like D cups and you're short, people are like, oh, childlike body. And I'm like, that's like literally not it. I don't know. I feel like in real life, a lot of people kind of deal with this. A lot of women deal with this. And I think that's why some people get really up in arms about like when it starts to turn into fictional characters, because you know now these women especially are like, what about me, you know? and then like dudes that like have maybe liked a short woman are like, but it's normal, you know? And it just like muddles and gray areas all the discourse there. But I don't know, at the end of the day, a platform can't have anything remotely similar to it, because then advertisers, which are, you know, older men usually, are gonna look at it and be like, what the fuck is this? So you know, it's all you got to worry about.